and welcome to Nerdist After. We're discussing everything from episode 4 of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger on Freeform. I'm Eliza Pearl.
And I'm Hector Navarro. We'll be joined by the show's executive producer and showrunner Joe Pokaski. And later, Andrea Roth drops by to talk to us about playing our new favorite Marvel mom, Melissa Bowen.
If you're not up to date on Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, you'll want to get caught up. So just head over to Hulu or to the Freeform app and then come on back to us and join the action.
And if you are all caught up, then you get a gold star sticker as soon as we actually order some. Plus, stick around because we'll have an exclusive sneak peek of episode 5 that you can only see here on Nerdist After.
Here to help us discuss cloaks, daggers, and every combination thereof is Nerdist Editor-in-Chief, Rachel Hine.
Hey.
Hi, Rachel.
You can't get rid of me.
No.
I'm coming back every week.
We wouldn't want it any other way.
All right, so to bring everybody up to speed, here's what happened in episode 4, okay? Tandy and Tyrone finally met up to talk about their strange abilities. Tandy decided to team with Greg, rest in peace, Greg, to get to the bottom of the Roxxon case. Tyrone gravitated toward a very cloaky looking cloak that used to belong to his brother, and at the end, Tandy's light daggers saved her life yet again, and Tyrone got up the courage to speak with Detective O'Reilly about his brother's death.
Whew. Got all that in.
That's a lot.
Good job, Hector.
That's a lot.
It was a heavy episode.
It
It
was.
was heavy. Rachel, I want to know how you reacted to Greg's assassination.
You know, I'm sad
Yeah.
because I didn't trust him, as you know. Don't trust
Yeah.
any of the adults.
Yep.
Don't
Yep.
trust him. And he really came through in this episode, and I thought, oh, she's got an ally. And when she got to brush again when they were chopping up veggies and cilantro, and,
Yeah.
and she got to see his hope, which was a very sweet one. And I thought, she's got a guy. And then things took a turn.
Oh my
A
God.
violent turn.
Look
It
at
was
that.
very
Yeah.
upsetting.
It was
mean-
very upsetting, but I loved how that water cooler thing ended up being gasoline or something. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what a crazy, cool assassination
Yeah.
thing that we see in these types of stories. But so sad.
That's a
And
professional hit.
that's a
Yes.
professional
They
hit.
came
Yeah.
planned.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think it was Roxxon. I think it was them.
Yeah.
Evil Corporation?
I think so. But how
Couldn't have
Come
been them.
on.
cool of a power would that have been, though, to be able to brush up against somebody and to kind of see if they're being truthful or not. Wasn't that great?
It is
Yeah.
great, but
Yeah.
it's the same as when you think about having a power like being able to read minds,
Yeah.
where sounds great, but some people
I
are
know.
terrible.
Yeah.
And
Is it like every time you brush up against someone, every time you touch someone?
It seemed like in that scene, though, it seemed like Tandy was trying
She
to
did it
activate
out.
the
Yeah,
power,
totally, yeah.
which is like, you know, ideally, look, in these superhero stories with powers, you get the power, you will have to learn how to control it. So in an ideal world, you have the power and then you can control it.
Yeah.
But like Rachel said, it would be cool to have, but also it would be really disappointing to use that on somebody you admired and learn that, oh, they're terrible.
yeah,
It'd be really sad.
and
Dirtbag.
seems super probable that would happen at some point.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, exactly.
But I also think, too, I liked the way that the story is framed, where she's discussing that power and then you see her using it. I just think that the way that they're doing it is
Yeah.
really clever and thoughtful to sort of not just explain everything, but to really show it in action and kind of take that further.
I agree. I thought that was great.
Yeah, Hector, what did you think about the major changes that happened this episode?
This is a great episode.
Yeah.
I love this episode. This was fantastic. I think my favorite moment, being a big comic book fan, is when Tyrone found this cloak. Because I immediately was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's the cloak. That's Cloak's cloak.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one he's going to pick. And I loved how the story leading up to this, I mean, it's so cool that they gave so much emotional weight to this item. Because if you read old Cloak and Dagger comic books, their origin, their original story, these two characters, their origin is different, but they end up in this warehouse, and Tyrone arbitrarily just grabs a piece of clothing to then go and try to focus his power and do his thing. And I loved how they were able to attach all of this emotion, this build-up with him and his father, this backstory. And like we were saying, even before the scene confirmed it, we as the audience knew, like, that was his brother's.
Yeah.
That was his
Oh,
brother's
yeah.
as he was training to be a spy boy. I know it.
Absolutely.
And then they confirmed it, and you're just, you're almost tearing
Yeah.
up. Aliza, what
Oh,
did you
goodness.
think?
Yeah.
What did you think of the argument between Tandy and Tyrone at the end of the episode?
They really went there.
Yeah.
They said things that Yeah, I mean, that you don't usually say to a stranger or to someone you've just met. But, because of last episode, we saw them, they have this emotional intimacy now because they've literally been in each other's hearts and heads, that they can say these things that you don't say to just a friend or an associate in your life. And so, yeah, that conversation, like, they really go to some deep, very honest places.
It got real.
Well, that's also, I feel like that's an intimacy that even with the people you're closest with, as much as you can know someone, you only know so much. You aren't actually in their mind or in their heart, and they are. And so that kind of intimacy comes with sort of it's a double-edged dagger.
Whoa,
not scripted.
Whoa.
That sort of intimacy means that they've seen these dark parts of each other. They know that they have survivor's guilt. They know that they have a death wish that they're fighting against, and they're seeing each other, their own, death wish mirrored in each other, their own issues. It's very complex, wonderful inner stuff that I love.
Great.
Yeah.
Guys, episode 4 had a lot of tense moments, but perhaps the most painful ones come courtesy of Tandy's dagger-sharp wit. Here now are the most cutting, dagger-to-the-heart moments of the episode.
You have to have hope. Well, if hope exists, I don't think that looks like Greg. Because Greg is just another married guy who's gonna tell you whatever you want to hear because he thinks you have a great ass.
So what's your angle here? Side piece, ambulance chasing, or are you just straight up everyday con man?
So you're married?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work?
Not very well. Thought that I could rescue her. Doesn't like to be needed.
You like needy women.
Snaps. Please welcome back to the show Marvel's Cloak and Dagger showrunner and executive producer, Joe Pekaski.
Joe, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me back.
Joe, Tandy keeps it real.
Yeah.
Tandy does not mince words, particularly with her mother. I mean, I remember reading somewhere like the hardest times in a woman's life is when she's 17 and when her daughter's 17. And I think the Tandy Melissa relationship represents both sides of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joe, we have to talk about the moment where Tandy and Tyrone try touching. What was it like filming this?
One of our genius writers, Christine Boylan, was covering this. We had a lot of conversations. Amy Mann, incredible director, I thought did a fantastic job on this. Really just kind of got these guys to understand the emotion, and then our stunt coordinators had them both on ratchets and pulls. So there's a bunch of wires we pulled out of here. But Aubrey and Olivia do that thing where they can go from the intimate and the emotional to the super heroic, and this is kind of the perfect scene where they show what they have to do it.
Wow.
But it took a village. It took a whole bunch of people breaking pews and pulling them and ratcheting them up and not killing them, which is always good.
That is good.
Great.
Yeah.
But it's the emotion was always the important thing, and those two just bring it every time.
Rachel, you were reacting to that clip. What'd you think?
So I love when we're looking at, we've talked about sort of teenagers and superpowers and how those kind of work together, and the slowness of the moment and the way that they're positioned in this sort of mirror, again, another mirror image, but also that feeling when you're a teenager of anticipation, of like a first kiss or something, you feel that in that moment that they're hesitant and they're not sure what to do, and that was just, I thought, captured very beautifully. So
There's another moment that I want to talk about, which is a very unique and intense scene where Tyrone's father takes him to meet a group of people from his past.
Yeah.
Who are they? What's a spy boy? Like, I have so many questions.
Yeah.
This is another amazing thing that one of our writers, Marcus Guillory, who's lived in New Orleans, kind of brought to our attention. We were talking about, what's real in New Orleans, what's the experience? And he talked about the Mardi Gras Indians, who are also known as the Black Indians. And it's a group of men who basically dress up as Indians to honor the Native Americans who helped either run away or freed slaves find their footing. So as every year they march at Mardi Gras, and it's this amazing men's club where you can be a felon or you can be the mayor and everyone's equal. And the spy boy is kind of the guy who marches up to the front of the parade and has a special honorary position. So it just kind of seemed amazing that we were looking for a mythology to attach to this cloak, and this just felt so beautiful, and we all fell in love with the idea of a man teaching his son how to be a man by way of sewing. Otis, who is Tyrone's dad, was the spy boy back in the day. They were training Billy to do it. And Tyrone is kind of, in a different way, stepping into those shoes.
They go up ahead to scout. Do you mean literally like during the Mardi Gras?
During the parade,
Okay.
they kind of head
Got
up
it.
there, and it's just kind of that honorary position of
cool.
checking it
Sort
out.
of
Yeah, it's really
represent
cool.
probably what happened in the past. Wow, that's really.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's neat, and it's just such a great, like, that these men get together to honor
Yeah.
the people who helped their ancestors. Like, there's nothing sweeter than that.
Yeah. And where were the spy boy scenes actually shot? Was that in the Ninth Ward?
So yeah, we're in the lower Ninth Ward. One of the gentlemen who was one of the Indians, you know, he kind of has a little bit of a headquarters for their particular group. They allowed us to use it, so you see a lot of the imagery, a lot of the kind of the photos, and the place where we shot was all, you know, relatively accurate. And these men, most of the extras were actual Indians and brought their own equipment, and it's just amazing. They spend an entire year creating these intricate costumes, and then, you know, let them fall apart because you're a new person every year. And it's such a
Wow.
beautiful kind of marble metaphor. One of the fun parts of being a writer is you get to explore these things you don't understand. And
Yeah.
there was nothing I understood less than this. It was a pleasure to just kind of dig in and listen to the experts teach us about it.
Yeah. So Hector likes this next part. So towards the end of this scene, Tyrone finds his brother's cloak. Is this possibly the origin story of what will become Tyrone's official superhero costume?
It is possibly the origin story.
Oh, Joe,
Tyrone's
you were so
costume.
slippery.
I'm learning from you guys.
It's great. That's great.
learning our tricks.
It is, you know, there are lots of similarities between this and what we see in the comics. So I think
Yeah.
this is kind of, you know, in this episode, we find our cloak and we understand our dagger a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about this before. I love that, not to say that a place like New York City doesn't have a rich cultural history, but I love that the change of location of Cloak and Dagger and these two characters to New Orleans just open it up. And you guys were able to find these amazing stories to tell and these amazing perspectives and to add so much emotional weight to the actual fabric, to the cloak itself.
Yeah.
It's so cool because it's just like a thing not really thought about when you read the comic book. And here it has all of this importance and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. And listen, it's the idea of attaching it to Billy. Like, there's a moment when they're in the church where Aubrey delivers the line and makes me cry every time. He's like, he goes like, I think the cloak's looking out for me. It's like then he stops himself, and it's really
Yeah.
sweet. And it's an amazing little.
You're gonna make
you
Rachel
just wanna
cry.
hug him all the time.
Yeah.
I know he has such a just sweet, open face too that you can see what he's feeling on his face right away, and you're just like, oh, this poor kid.
And that tied directly into the scene where Tyrone goes to the police station to really try to figure out if he can learn about the cop who killed his brother. And it just highlights the great point that he makes to Tandy earlier, despite coming from a better financial situation. You know, discrimination based on outward appearance is still very real and can be an unavoidable disadvantage. So what was the process like from getting this on the page to working it out with Aubrey and filming it?
I mean, I think the first thing was, you know, it's the reason why every writer's room should be diverse, so you can have these conversations. So, you know, we kind of wanted to make sure what we were doing was right, and the young black men in our room said, yeah, nobody wants to go to a police station.
Yeah.
Nobody, you know, it's enemy territory to some people. It's a place where you'll be treated hostile, or at least the idea that you might be treated hostile becomes overwhelming. So we started there, and then, you know, Amy Mann directed this great way, and the way Aubrey plays it is great because he goes in there, we understand his intent, and then our sound design team, who's fantastic, Mark Isham's score comes in a little and kind of sets that as well, and it felt like such a great moment that's reflective of the real world that it was nice to be able to fit it into a superhero story.
And at the end, when he reaches out to Detective O'Reilly, does that signal a change for Tyrone, for his character?
That's exactly it. So he goes through this, everything he went through with,
Nailed it.
We got it, guys. We figured it out.
everything he goes through with Tandy, even though they're yelling at each other,
Yeah.
they're both challenging each other to be better, and that's who Tandy and Tyrone are at the end of the day. So she calls him out for not being a coward. You see him doing his push-ups, you see him getting kind of angry, and then finally he's like, screw it, and he goes in there and he's just got a little more swag to him, and it's kind of because of his interaction with Tandy.
I love
I
that.
also really appreciate in that scene between Tyrone and Tandy that even though Tandy feels like she has been discriminated against, which she has for, you know, growing up in poverty, there's that moment where she really has to listen to another perspective, which I think we should all be doing.
Yeah.
And he says, you can go in places and steal and no one stops you.
Yeah.
That in itself is an inherent privilege. And I thought that was such a great moment, and hopefully, as this is a show about teenagers, and I don't know, it just gives me hope that people, and especially kids, will have conversations about this, because it's so important, and it doesn't have to be, a war. It can be a conversation, and you learn more and challenge each other to be better.
And I think it's so important that he does say, she tries to counter, well, I don't see you that way. And he says, but the world does.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
We have our friendships and relationships with people, and, our good intentions are so important, and to hold each other in love and in kindness and in trust. But we have to also remember that our friends are going through things that we don't experience when we walk through the world.
Yeah.
So I love that he said it. He was like, well, you don't see it that way, but a lot of other people do, and your good intentions don't change that.
Yeah.
So important for people to remember that.
Yeah.
So.
It's a great conversation we just had.
Yeah.
Really good. Everybody up here is real smart and real
yourself on
cool.
the
Yeah. Really cool. All right.
Well, there's another very important thing to talk about. So Tandy definitely seemed to have better control over her powers when she used one of her daggers to open up that safe.
Yeah.
So before that, though, we also see Tandy was saved by her light daggers in the water off of the pier. So was that something she had any control over when the daggers came out there?
I think this was what she was trying to do. I think Tandy is like me when I have a deadline in like 4 hours. Like, let's see if we can finish this script.
Yeah.
And so Tandy did the extreme version of that, where she was basically like, I think she knew how important it was to get these papers. I think she was upset about Greg, so she decided, I'm gonna, she says earlier in the episode, hits the fan, car hits the tree, and this dagger comes out.
Yeah.
So she's kind of forcing herself to pull a dagger out. And I know it took us 4 episodes, but it feels hopefully earned in a way that every time you see it, you understand what she went through to get there.
And I took it to be this beautiful metaphor for, so many of us go through these dark times, and on the other end of that, for Tandy, is literal light. That's and that coming up out of the water was this beautiful moment. And then for her to be able to now summon that, I think is really cool. So by now you know that we love to talk about our show theories, no matter how off base they are. And they've been pretty off base. Just watch last episode.
Yeah.
It's time again for us to grill you about all of the hidden details and what we may have missed and what to watch out for.
So in this episode, we did notice something that may be part of a larger storyline. So let's take a look at these posters, charts, and documents on the walls of Greg's office.
Yes. He's
Conspiracy
investigating
board.
Conspiracy
Roxxon.
board.
Yes. Joe, if we go to our Nerdist supercomputer system and enhance these images, will we learn any dark secrets about Roxxon?
There are a few pictures. There's one in particular. I'm looking behind Greg about where we're heading.
It's glowing.
Where we're heading soon, as we start uncovering a little more about Roxxon. To spoil episode 5, we begin with Tandy laying out a lot of these documents on the floor of a church and kind of working through that. So we've done our props master letter. Marchin's amazing because he'll check everything. Marvel will have to check it over 4 or 5 times. But we've got a few things laid in that will be leading to what we're finding out in the next couple episodes.
Okay.
Joe, can you give us an idea of anything we may have overlooked in episode 4?
Yeah, I think we haven't talked about this assassin yet.
Tell us.
We all got very excited because we were like, who would be the perfect assassin? And it's possible the water delivery person was actually delivering water to the writer's room at the time. And
It's very organic.
I remember thinking that he could kill us all right now and we're breaking story in front of him.
Wow.
So we got kind of obsessed with kind of these overlooked people, and there was something so interesting about this woman coming in and not only just killing Greg, but that the water was gasoline. We got so stupidly excited about.
It's
and then we
cool.
had
It's
lots of discussions about what kinds of plastic wouldn't corrode with gasoline and should we have gas. And then we got over ourselves and then we just shot the scene. But it was very fun, and we have not seen the last of her.
I'm going to be real honest. When I saw her splashing the water, I really did think it was water.
It probably was technically.
Oh no, she's ruining the documents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's she doing?
Yeah, what is she doing? It was
Yeah, I was
shocking
like, why
when
is
that.
she pouring water?
That's
So
exactly
shocking.
what you were supposed to be thinking
Okay,
at the time.
good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, joining us next is the amazing Andrea Roth. But first, here's another look at her performance as Tandy's mom from episode 4.
You should get that.
No, that's a reason to.
She's your wife. Sure, it's important.
It's fine. Excuse me. Huh? Yeah. No, I'm not doing this right now.
You know what? I'm not feeling too hot.
You don't eat anything. You want me to go
You know,
get
I
something
think I'm
else?
gonna go to bed, and I have that job interview in the morning.
You do?
Yeah, so I am gonna say my goodnights and take leave.
You may know her as Melissa Bowen, or you may know her as Tandy's mom. In both cases, you are correct. Please say hello to Andrea Roth.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah. First question for you, Andrea. What is Melissa going to do without Greg? She finally finds a decent but married guy and already loses him. What's next?
I don't know how much lower she can go at this point.
Oh, no.
I mean, how much lower is it going to go?
We're gonna find out in the next couple episodes how much lower she can go. But
Speaking of that, let's try to theorize a little bit. Rachel, Eliza, how do you think Melissa is going to deal with this news?
Well, when she was making those phone calls, like leaving 6 voicemails, that was heartbreaking. I don't think she's gonna take it very well. And
Earlier scenes would say that her life skills and emotional skills are lacking. So one would think that I'm not going to all of a sudden be a little healthier.
yeah,
I think what Andrea and Olivia do so amazingly is they both play the same side of a different coin, or
Yeah.
opposite sides of the same coin. And it's funny how you look at them and you look at the choices that mom makes, and they're so very much like the choices that Tandy makes. There's a moment where you go, during a scene, and Olivia does it during 2 scenes later, and it's just really amazing how you kind of like lay out the mother-daughter relationship in such an amazing way.
Because you wrote it. We are merely playing out.
There's a lot of stuff that didn't turn out amazing, trust me. But it's awesome to do scenes with you guys, because it's just like watching amazing tennis partners like hit it really hard.
Oh, thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Well, here's a
Rachel, how
question.
does I want to ask Rachel? How do you feel? I know you don't trust the adults in
No,
the show.
sure
That's
don't.
right.
Sure don't.
Do you trust Melissa Bowen
in the show?
in the show?
Everyone could be evil. We don't know yet. They could all be a part of it.
How do you feel about Melissa Bowen in that context of trusting adults?
I trust her. I think she's being an honest character. You can
Yeah.
she's being herself. I think that this relationship from the get-go was one of the ones that drew me in. As you were saying, young women's relationships with their mothers can be incredibly fraught, and especially because they usually are similar and are kind of playing off of each other. And so even when you said, that their mannerisms are similar, I bet Tandy would be like, no, they're not. And so, and as you grow older, you obviously, reconnect with your mom. But I think that all of that feels so honest, because they do care, but they, for whatever reason, all of the things that have happened to them, it's difficult for them to really connect, and you can feel that sort of weight. So,
Andrea, what are some of the challenges of playing a character like this that has such demons and deals with people coming in and out of her life? And how is that? Is it hard? Is it fun? Is it juicy?
It's incredibly fun, because anytime you get to play something complex and written so well, it's exciting, and then you can be proud as an actor that you're getting to do some interesting work. Now, it's definitely not a cliche mom. I hope that we can see that there's like goodness and kindness and hope in there that's struggling to come out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's just a matter of trying to find a balance where she's still somewhat likable.
Oh yeah,
You're hopeful?
I have to say, I loved the moment where you said it's not just about the money,
Yeah.
because that was so refreshing to me. Your character is yeah, you have a lot of demons. You make choices that are questionable. But then when you said that, it was so simple and honest and genuine that I was like, oh my goodness, yeah. I fully believe her that yes, she is this honest character. So that was beautiful. Mwah, thank you.
I think she's just obsessed with clearing her husband's name.
We'll see what, I mean, I think that Melissa has such, arguably the most surprising arc over the course of this season of everyone, which is why we wanted to get someone like of Andrea's caliber. I mean, if you ever watch Rescue Me, like the absolute spectrum of emotion that she played was just unreal. So it was encouraging once we realized we'd have this genius playing the role that we could kind of step it up and do some crazy things come episode 7, 8, 9.
And I'm so grateful because whenever some of the things you're right are a little scary, but that's what like keeps you going.
Yeah.
Makes it all fun.
Do you think that Melissa believes that she can actually take on this huge corporation Roxxon to clear her husband's name, or do you think that she's just willfully fooling herself?
I think that she is a cocktail of drugs, addiction, obsession, pain, denial.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one big foggy mess. But she's hopeful underneath of it all.
I love what Joe said about her having such a surprising arc. You can tell that Joe's dropping a great little nugget because I look over to Rachel for that reaction and she's automatically like,
My head's going. I'm like, okay, is she gonna sneak into the place? Like,
Yeah.
going full
bad guy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Full spy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
And your character and Tandy have a strained relationship, to say the least. How much work is it to get there on camera?
Yeah.
Because it feels very natural. It feels like mother and daughter, tenuous relationship.
Thank you. That's all the writing and Olivia, because we just jump in and go for it.
And we
play
always
off of
seem
each
to
other.
shoot your scenes at the end of the day. And anyone who's worked in film knows that, like, you budget 2.5 hours for this scene. And we always get to the end of the day, I'm like, great, we have 45 minutes, let's shoot this scene. And you're going crazy, but you're very happy that it is Andrea and Olivia, because then it's just like they get that scene up on its legs, and you're just like, yep, we don't need another take, that's perfect. So it's kind of amazing to see how these two work together, and it does feel really real.
I think it's because we're both scared, but we'll be scared together going, oh my God, we have like 45 minutes to shoot it. And somehow there's just like, I've got you, you've got me. That's all we have. You jump in.
That's great.
Yeah.
If you could pick between Tandy's powers or Tyrone's powers, which one would you choose?
Tyrone's powers.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Is it that teleporting, the ease of travel?
Yeah, I could teleport to home, go pick up my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fly back, do a little shopping, a little lunch in Paris.
Ooh.
And still have more than 45 minutes to shoot the scene at the end of the day. Perfect. In episode 4, the dynamic between Tandy and Tyrone took a big leap forward. So what can we look forward to in episode 5, you might ask? Well, wonder no more, because we have an exclusive clip. Check it out. I love it. Costume design in the show, it's so great.
We didn't have to do all this.
Can't take the credit.
What the hell are you doing here? Last I saw you, you were calling me a choir boy.
Last I saw you, you were storming out of my church like one.
What is she doing?
Joe,
What's she doing?
Guess who's coming to high school?
Joe, tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
She's gonna go to his school, or she's just gonna show up?
A whole episode of television that's going to happen in a week, and you're going to find out all of it.
Oh my
Fine.
gosh.
The dynamic
Yeah.
at that high school
Yeah.
is gonna be dramatic.
I just love seeing like how uncomfortable Tyrone was, because that was his element. Where all of a sudden, we're throwing a wrench in the works. That's great.
Yeah, I'm nervous for Tandy and Evita to meet. Ooh. Okay.
Okay, guys. Well, that is it for the 4th edition of Nerdist After. We know you have questions, comments, and theories, so tweet them to us at Nerdist with the hashtag Cloak and Dagger, and you just might see it here next week. And follow the show on Twitter at Cloak and Dagger and at Freeform TV.
And you can catch a new episode of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger on Freeform Thursdays at 8 p.m. or on Hulu and the Freeform app.
There it is. And thank you to Rachel Hine, Joe Pokaski, and of course the incredible Andrea Roth for joining us, guys.
Yes!
Round of applause. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I am Hector Navarro.
And I'm Elisa Pearl. You can find us on Nerdist.com and Nerdist's YouTube and Facebook pages.
We'll see you after episode 5 of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger.